team, and I know you had a lot of plans. How did it go, and how did you use it?
Yeah, it was good. Our plans going into it were first to recover some of the injured guys to hurt guys to healthy. Improve. There's a lot of work you can get done in the bye week. We did that, and then just get reinvigorated for the final stretch of the season. We got 6 games left, and try to circle the wagons and get going in the right direction. So I thought it was a good week.
Let's start with the injury bug because you guys are certainly not that everybody's not dealing with it, but you guys have been hit at a lot of key positions. Who are some guys you feel like you might have back on Saturday?
Uh, could potentially have Jack Shields back, our quarterback. Um, Eric Duke's a defensive end who's been down for us. Dylan Donovan got him back to full speed. Carter Moses, our tight end, will be back. And just getting some of those guys healthy that were dealing with nicks and bruises.
I know one of the things you talked about a week ago was you putting yourself and being much more involved, especially on the offensive side. Have you been able to do that, and how do you feel like your guys have responded?
Yes, I have, and I think it's been good. I'm a veteran at calling plays and organizing an offense, so getting back into the meetings, there was really no rust to knock off because of the experience I have, and it's given me flexibility to let Will Fiacchi work with some of the other positions on the offensive side. Given his knowledge, he's coached tight ends, coached wide receivers at a high level, so giving him flexibility to do some of that, which I think makes us better.
Question from Mark. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Hey, Jared, you said that Jack could potentially return. Has he resumed practicing yet?
Yeah, last week he did 7-on-7s for us in the bye week. And this week we'll see if we can get an uptick in his team reps and get him ready to go.
What could it do for you if he's able to return this week, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you take out the first half of the Cornell game, which I know Jack was pretty upset with how he played, and he's been playing quarterback at a pretty high level for, the snaps he took this season. So, it gives us a more dynamic player in the backfield. No knock on Colin there. And then his ability to get the ball on target to our playmakers downfield is, I mean, shoot, he threw for over 302 consecutive games. So the stats are there.
Thanks.
Jared, as you talked about halfway through the season, so half of it's still to go. Let's kind of break down your team a little bit. And where do you feel like you are on offense? What do you like and that's happened maybe in the first half? And then what are the goals as you take over a more prominent role? What would you like to see more from your offense in the second half of the year?
Yeah, I'd like to see us consistently run the ball better. I'm not a big yards per carry, yards per game guy. I'm more of a run efficiency guy. When you need to run the ball, can you run the ball? And I want to see that improve. If it's 3rd and 2, being able to convert. If it's 1st and 10, being able to gain 4 more. Um, you know, I want to be able to see us take shots downfield. When you look at our Delaware State, New Haven games, we were pushing the ball down the field at a big clip and connecting. And then, I want to see our line continue to grow. We came into the season with 5 guys that never started a game here. And now, 6 games in, they got 6 starts for each of them. So seeing them continue to grow and, become a tighter unit.
Who are some guys that maybe on the offensive side of the ball that maybe you weren't expected as much from that have played a little better and exceeded expectations for you on that side?
I would say Jordan Ray, a wide receiver. He's still new to it, and he knows the offense inside and out, so it gives us flexibility to move him around. Tavari Groves, also a wide receiver. Had never played in a college football game till we went to Iowa, and he's made some big plays for us. And then looking at some other positions, both my tackles, Jackson Nixon, Emmett Harris. Emmett's a local kid, Shaker High School. Recruited him. He's battled at left tackle and grown a bunch. And then Jackson Nixon was a walk-on that has fought his whole way in his career here, and he's now stepping up to that role. So those guys, and there's many more. So many more.
How about on the defensive side of the ball? Sort of the same question. Your numbers defensively have been pretty solid. What have you liked about what's happened defensively, and then what are some areas that maybe you're focused on in the bye week to get a little better at?
Yeah. Some of the guys, I think Cam Stodgehill moving to our Mike linebacker has been big. We've been good on defense here at Albany when our Mike linebacker can run. you look at the guys of the past, the Jackson Ambushes, the Dylan Kellys, now Cam, so being a high level athlete at that position, makes plays for us. And then, we've really gotten some bodies back up front defensively. Unfortunately, Nico Eberhardt and Abe Sanogo out for the year. But we got Brock Boyer, guy back who played a lot in 23, was hurt in 24. But for part of the season, then we got Isaiah Boyd back, who we think can be a very, very, very good talent here. So, got the pieces coming back to us that we can get back to us at the right time, it seems.
You got a question from Steve McGowan? Go ahead, Steve. Good morning.
Thanks, Rob. Good morning. Morning, Coach. I know you touched on it last week, Coach, but just a word about University of Rhode Island, your next opponent.
Yeah. I started coaching this conference in 2007, and the leaps and bounds that this program has made over the course of time, and kudos to Coach Fleming. They've done a great job there. They're a powerhouse now, and they got players coming in and out, year in, year out that are quality players. They're keeping them there. You look at Pena. Pena's a kid that at most schools is getting poached by the bigger schools, and they've found a way to keep them there. They always have a big physical O-line. And defensively, they run a really unique but good scheme. So the program itself has come a long way, and they've earned that right, and they fought to get to this point. And now, they're one of the top teams in the CAA perennially. So,
thank you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Jared, let's dive into Rhode Island. You mentioned some of the stuff that you admire with what they've done. Let's start on the offense, and certainly a veteran quarterback and Devin Farrell that has grown and improved over the years, and a pretty strong group and veteran group of receivers. What impressed you with their offense?
Everything. There's not really a point where you're like, oh, they're weak here, they're weak. Some guys, can they run the ball? Can they throw the ball? Yes. And, Devin does a good job, if the defense has the right call, he's got the ability to go off script. So there's not any weaknesses I see. They got a 240-pound back that's just going to, mash you. And they got big, tall, long receivers who can run outside. So they're a dangerous group. And that's why they're as productive as they are.
Defensively, you mentioned AJ Pena and their other linebackers have had pretty strong years as well. What did they do defensively that you're going to have to deal with and impresses you as an offensive coach?
Yeah, they do a great job, evening out your sets and making sure they got extra support in the run, all the time, whether it be the corner or the safety or the field backer or the field safety. So they're always going to give you something to think about, and you got to plan for it. They pressure good enough to, give you a little bit of concern, and they're really athletic, from front to back. They're one of the few teams in the country that lists their defense with 2 D linemen and a litany of linebackers. And, it lends to being a really athletic unit. So they present challenges all over the place defensively with great personnel. It's going to be tough.
So all that being said, just give me a couple of keys for your team to have some success on Saturday.
Yeah, well, we got to stay on schedule offensively. We can't get in second and longs or, stuff like that. Got to protect the ball. And got to be able to, hit shots when we got them. If we can figure out a way to get the ball into the back end of the defense, we got to make them pay for it. Defensively, we got to contain the quarterback. We can't let him, can't be death by 1,000 cuts where we get him corralled in the backfield and he beats you with your legs. Got to try and, get these receivers, blanketed and, knock the running back down. So we got our work cut out for us, but, we're going to give them everything we got for 60.
All right, Jared, thanks so much for doing this morning, and look forward